now, I don't think at all about any insecurity after living in this life. Then also it is challenging authority. You know, it is so much heroic, you know, for somebody to challenge the teacher or challenge his parents, any authority figure. We look at those who challenge the authority figure as cool guys, you know, those type of guys. So this is what is a popular Western teens culture is promoting. These are the kind of values. If we try to compare it with our Islamic values or what we as parents want for our children, we value very much the family ties and the moral values. Individuality, yes, everyone has his own individual personality, but it is always working for the help of the family, for the help of the Muslim community, for the help of the society as a whole. So family ties are very, very important, and Islamic values are very, very important for us. Rather than fulfilling desires, we try to make our children carry out their duties and responsibilities and to practice self-control. These are some of the characters, the manners that we want them to behave with. Rather than enjoyment and having fun is self-elevation. We're always looking for improvement, self-elevation, self-improvement. And if you compare, have fun when we go out, to what we tell our children, the kind of dua they say when we go out, you can see the difference. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-azilla, wa-uzalla, wa-adilla, wa-udalla, wa-adlima, wa-udlam, aw ajhala, wa yujhala teach your child to make this dua that the Prophet ﷺ taught us that we have to do when we go out of home to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, that we are not going to go astray or lead somebody to the wrong way or any of these bad things. Modesty and spiritual nourishment is very important in our Islamic values. You look at the other side, physical indulgence and fashion and so on and so forth. Always we think about the consequences of what we do, long term, as well as what's going to happen in the hereafter. What we do, that's what we want our children to understand. Respect to authority is very, very important in Islamic values. So you can see that the set of values that the popular Western teens culture is promoting is completely opposite to the set of values that we want for our youth. So the poor youth is like between a rock and a hard place, as they say. He wants to fit within this first set of values, and his peers are pressuring him to do these things. And at the same time, his parents are pressuring from the other side, no, you have to do these things. And if you know, he's being pressured from both sides, sometimes he give up. What we need to do is to put our energy and our power added to the energy of the young person to help him resist these values, rather than pushing him from one side and being pushed from the other side and then he gives up. We want really to give him the support need, to let him feel that it is okay. Yes, there are differences, but this is just a very small period of your life, a transitory period of your life, and we try to provide him with the support needed in terms of activities, in terms of sports, in terms of supporting groups out of his own peers that can understand what he's going through and are going through the same thing. So this is one thing that we have to keep in mind. The other thing is the peer pressure. We have the teen right in the center, then he is surrounded with his close friends and his siblings from the same age. And this is the first circle around him that presents pressure on him. And this could be a positive teen pressure, a positive peer pressure. If we make sure that we help him in selecting the proper friends, if we make sure that we are working also with siblings to be good kids, so they could have a positive peer pressure on him, and he could help him resist the other pressures coming from the general friends. Because sometimes you have no say in those general friends. Because he goes to school and they are there. He goes to the mall, they are there. So this is another circle. Then the mainstream teens and their culture that we talked about, and which he sees in the TV, which he sees him when he goes to the supermarket or in the mall, which he sees it in the movies and things like this. So these are the kind of circle of peer pressure that he's under. So our duty as parents is try to help him have a good, close friends, the same age, provide them with activities that he can practice together, and this is going to provide him with a good support system, so he'll be able to resist the pressure coming from the general friends and the mainstream popular teens culture. Some further tips that could help us parents in the way we deal with our children. We really have to recognize and acknowledge that there are differences between our children. What could work with my child number 1 may not work with number 2, with number 3. And it is our role as parents that we try to find the key to the personality of each child. Okay? One child may be good if you really structure her life, or and you really give her orders, and this is what you should be doing, and she's very comfortable with this. Another child may resist very much structuring his life and ordering him around. You may like to find some other way, like winning him to your side and let him feel that whatever you want him to do is coming out of him, that this is what he thinks should be right. So you as a parent really have to be very observant and try to find the key to the personality of every child. So many parents come and they complain to us and they say, oh, I have a very difficult child. He's a stubborn. And most of the time he's not really stubborn, but he is a person who wants to understand why he or she is doing these things. And the parents, because they don't have the answers to these questions, they think he's stubborn. He feels very comfortable, he will do it very well if he really understands what's the wisdom behind it. And that's why it's very important for us when we are teaching our children Islamic values to always bring the hadith of the Prophet, bring the verse of the Quran, and to always let them understand that this is for their benefit and for a wisdom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to do this or not to do this. So sometimes the child that you think is stubborn, he's just a very good child with a strong personality. And this, when he grows up, if you manage to help him grow up to build his Islamic identity, inshallah, he will be a leader in the Muslim community. So do not look at your child when he asks you questions of why I have to do this. Do not look at it negatively. As long as he's asking it politely and you train him to ask it in a polite way, do not look at his questions negatively. Try to answer it in the best possible way. Try to find the key to his and her personality. Another thing is try to provide encouragement and avoid this discouragement. Always emphasize the positive action. Whenever the child is doing the right thing, emphasize it and encourage him. Acknowledge that he's doing it. The Prophet ﷺ, when this man came to him and said, "Akhbirni an shara' al-Islam," tell me about the Islam, what is it? And the Prophet ﷺ told him, you bear witness that there is no God but Allah and His Messenger. He said, okay, what else? He told him about the 5 daily salah. And the man asked him, is this what's required from me as far as salah concerned? He said, yes. إِلَّا أَن تَصَدَّقَ. You should do extra on your own. So he told him also about the fasting of the month of Ramadan. Then he asked the same question, is this what's required from me as far as fasting concerned? And the Prophet ﷺ gave the same answer exactly. Yes, إِلَّا أَن تَصَدَّقَ. You can do extra rules up to you, but this is what's required from you. And in some hadith, in some narrations say he didn't tell him about zakah or hajj, they were not obligatory yet. And some other narrations say he told him of zakah, but he didn't tell him about hajj, it was not obligatory. And the man said, أَفْعَلُ هَذَا وَلَا أَزِيدُ وَلَا أَنْقُص. I only do this, no more, no less. What was the Prophet's response? He said, أَفْلَحَ إِنْ صَدَقَ. Acknowledge that he accepted the basic minimum. And he encouraged. this fact. أفلح إن صدق. This man is going to succeed if it's really true. The Prophet knows the psychology of human being. As soon as this man starts practicing salah, he will feel the sweetness of salah. He will do extra on his own. As soon as he starts practicing siyam, he will feel the beauty of siyam. He will love to do more of it. He didn't tell him, no, come here. Oh, you have to eat 17 rak'ah nafil, you have to have a beard that long, you have to have a soap that short, you have to do this, you have to do this. No. Because had he done this, it's too much for the man. He gave him an opportunity to grow, and he encouraged the fact that he accepted that he's going to do even the basic minimum. So it's very important that we do this with our children also. Let me give you a practical example how to emphasize the positive action of the child. All of us try to train our children to do Salatul Jama'ah, right? Hassan is 6 years old. Come, Hassan, stand next to me and do like what I do. Hassan would stand, mashallah, and as soon as the father maybe finished Surah Al-Hamd, Hassan would start getting his sister like this, his brother like this, turn around and leave the whole salah. Right? That's what happened, which is normal. For that age group, they have very short span of attention. What's important is the reaction of the father as soon as he finishes the salah. Usually what the father does as soon as he finishes the salah. Can someone tell me? Thank him. Come here, Hassan. How many times did I tell you salah? You have to stand still. You have to be quiet. Hey, you are a naughty boy. Hassan, you are a bad boy. What did the father emphasize? He emphasized the negative action of Hassan. Hassan will continue to do this. Why? He is the center of attention, the focus of the family. After every salah, his name is being announced. He's getting all the attention he wants. And believe me, kids like the attention no matter what kind of attention, just the attention. So a child will be rather a naughty, observant boy rather than a well-behaved, ignored boy. So Hassan will continue to repeat the same thing because he's getting the attention. So what the father should have done to apply the advice of the Prophet ﷺ, to encourage the positive action. I know it may sound too much for the fathers who are here, but this is the way to do it. As soon as you finish salah, I know you are boiling because you ran and delivered the salah, but you control yourself, put a smile on your face and say, Hassan, come here, Habibi, mashallah, mashallah. You're able to stand still the whole Surah Al-Hamd. I know it's not much for you guys, the whole Surah Al-Hamd. Next time you'll be able to do it in sujood. MashaAllah, Hassan. Yes, Dad. I promise, Hassan. Yes, Dad. I can do it in sujood. Next time, Hassan is going to do it in sujood. You know why? Because you gave him the attention for the positive action he did. He's going to try to increase the positive action. So he will keep getting the attention. And the time after he's going to do the whole rak'ah, in 2-3 days he's going to do the whole salah. And I challenge anyone here to try it properly with a smile on your face and acknowledge, MashaAllah, you did wonderful. And inshallah, your child will be trained for salah in just a few days. So it's very important that we, as long as the negative action the child is doing is trivial, ignore it. So he's not going to repeat it. And always encourage the positive action the child is doing. Do not overprotect your child. Give him the opportunity. The brother was asking, give him the opportunity to try things under your supervision. Not everything. No, come here, no. And this is not good. It's not giving him the chance to grow. Agree with your spouse on a common tarbiyah plan. Children upbringing is not the responsibility of mom alone or dad alone. It is a joint responsibility. According to the scholars and the hadith and verse of Quran, it is a joint responsibility. Dad and mom have to agree together, have to sit and communicate and think and work on strategy and tarbiyah plan, what kind of methodology are going to use with their children, and none of them should undermine the authority or the responsibility of the other in front of the children. As soon as you see the child sees any differences between you and your spouse, he is going to abuse these differences. You should always work as a united front. Even if your spouse does something give that child instruction that you don't think is right. Don't correct him or her in front of the child. Just keep quiet. Take him in private or her in private and tell him or her, well, listen, this should have not been done this way because of this. You should have your proof from Sunnah or Quran if you want to really to confront and see him. And then give her or him a chance to correct this to the children. The children should see you, both of you, as common friends. So it is a joint responsibility. Both of you have to help each other there. Watch for too many no's. Can I do this, Dad? No. Can I do this, Mom? No. No. And so that child in a course of their night will listen to 40 no's and no yes. What is this? I cannot do anything. You look at Islam as restrictions. You can answer the same answer by saying yes. Dad, can I watch some TV? Yes, of course you can, but only after you finish your homework. And you avoid the word no completely. Dad, can I see and visit my friend, my neighbor Hassan? Of course you can go and visit him, but I see the dinner is being set on the table. Let's have dinner first, then we can do this. So try to find ways to avoid saying no. Otherwise the child will think that it is all restrictions. Don't be excessive in reward or punishment. We are ummatan wasata. Achieve balance between love and discipline. A good parent is a parent who set limits and nurture in the same time. We have always so many extremes. Some people are very good in setting limits. Others are very good in nurturing, but they never set limits. But when you can achieve the balance between setting limits and give the child, he knows what can he do and what he, and at the same time in nurturing the child, this is the best way. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Accept the feeling of the child, acknowledge the feeling of the child. The Prophet ﷺ went once to visit Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. He found Aisha radiallahu anha. When he knocked the door, Aisha radiallahu anha opened the door and she was crying. And the Prophet ﷺ shed tears for her, crying. So why are you crying, Aisha? 5 years old child. I had an argument with my mom, she said to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet talked to her mom and he resolved the situation. But the point is, he shared her feeling. So if your son comes from the school and he is, have a problem in the school, Dad, I want to talk about it, and you are sitting watching your favorite TV show or you are reading your favorite magazine. Yes, son, what did you have? What kind of problem? Still, your eyes are looking at the magazine or you are looking at the tube. He wouldn't believe that you really are concerned about his affairs. Put the magazine aside, turn the TV off, and give him your full attention. What's the problem? Tell me what's going on. If I have gone through this, I would have the same feeling. You need my help. And sometimes all what they want is just, some couple of listening ears and know that I'm okay, I can do it myself. But if he wants you to intervene, you should provide your help. Encourage the child to ask you questions politely, and use the opportunity to guide him properly, inshallah. One more slide that relates to the parents' willingness to change. And this takes, when we do the workshop, this part takes 2 hours. Because we try to go through the background of the parent to find out and pinpoint what are the sources of negative parental behavior that we have. And then we help them to try to change it to positive ones that could help their children to be good children. Here I'm going to give you the top reason that parents do not do well with their children is, we talked about the family atmosphere, is that they do not control their anger. And we know that the Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked to advise somebody, فَرَدَّدَ مِرَارًا لَا تَغْضَبْ, repeatedly said, don't be angry, don't be angry, don't be angry. And he taught us anger management technique. This is how we look when we are angry. Exactly. You don't want your kids to see you look like this. This guy is really angry. So if we really can control our anger and teach our children to control our anger, Let's shows our willingness to change, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, and try to change our negative parental behavior to positive ones. Inshallah Rabbil Alameen, if we do this, inshallah Rabbil Alameen will be able to, as we said, achieve the harmony between husband and wife, and also make sure that our children will reach the finishing line as winners, and we, inshallah Rabbil Alameen, have the most healthy family environment for our children. So this is the end of the first picture. Let's go to the next one, inshallah. This is be considered as continuation for the last lecture, inshallah Rabbil Alameen. It's going to emphasize more on one specific problem that our teens living with, and I was given the problem by the conference organizers, and I had to come up with some analysis for the problem and how to help our teens and our children to resolve these issues that's related to their identity and their reality. So as an overview, we are going to see what is the problem and what are the symptoms of this problem. These are analyses that I did. And the consequences of such a problem, and what is the cause, the root cause of the problem, and what are the suggested solutions. Then I'm adding some factors that would contribute to the success of this solution. What is the problem? The problem that was given to us, the brother told me, with the ongoing war, are our kids confused? Are they struggling to answer the questions? Who are the bad guys? Are we able to correct the negative image of Islam and Muslims in our children's mind created by the media and the public affairs? And it is a real one, particularly after there was some traces of this problem before 9/11. After 9/11, it is really magnified, and it is a real one. And some of our children really feel very bad about it, and they are confused, there is no doubt about it. But we as Muslims should never feel hopeless or helpless, because hopelessness or helplessness is one of the quality of a disbeliever. إِنَّهُ لَا يَيْأَسُ مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْكَافِرُونَ إِنَّهُ لَا يَيْأَسُ مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْكَافِرُونَ in Surah Yusuf. So there is always solutions, and we have always to look at the problem in the right perspective. We should not exaggerate things, because it may not help us or help our children. And that's what I'll try to do, inshallah Rabbil Alameen, by going through some of the symptoms of the problems, some of the consequences of these symptoms, and some the root cause of the problem, as well as some of the suggested solutions, inshallah Rabbil Alameen. So first, what are the symptoms of the problem? What you should be looking for in your child to see whether he is really confused, and whether he feels that what's happening around him doesn't make any sense, and things like this. One thing is that you may find that your child is feeling down and left out or being targeted, and he thinks that every time he goes to the mall to buy something, the sales people is not treating him nicely. They think that he's targeting him, and the bus drivers, whenever he jump in the bus to take a ride to go to the school or to go to the university, is looking down at him, and he always asks him to show him his bus pass. Although the other kids he may not. So he have this feeling. His teacher is always saying to him, "Oh, you are dumb," or "You are doing this," and she's always picking on him, or the cashier in the supermarket. These are things that should be looking for. Is he feeling that he is being targeted, by others or not? Does he talk to you about it and say, oh, today the bus driver did this, or the teacher did this, and is he repeating it to you? Often enough, our children think that everybody is racist. Yeah, because I'm different color, they look at me down, they are. And this is another symptom of this problem, that we think that others think that all of them are racist, they are against us, you want to get rid of us, you want to kill us, you want to, it could go to this kind of extreme. Another sign is that you could be constantly speaking about what's going on, or they don't want to talk about it at all. They cannot get this moderate possession, you know. So they talk about it, they understand something, and they stop talking about it. No, they either all the time talking about what's happening in the war, 9/11, the terrorists, the racism, or they don't want to open this subject whatsoever. The moment it's being opened, you feel that they feel down, they don't want to sit where people are discussing this kind of subject. Some children, they show this in a way of asking about toys and gadgets and games and things like this. They feel their worth by owning more and more. They are discouraged, so they ask for more. They ask more. They think that they could raise their self-esteem, they could have some self-worth by owning more and more. So some children could resort to this. So this is another sign that you can see. Spending long hours in front of the TV or surfing the net. This is another sign that your child is discouraged. He is not happy, he feels down. And he thinks that by wasting the time in front of the TV or surfing the net, he's taking these things out of his mind. Another sign is sometimes he socializes only with Muslims or only with non-Muslims. He cannot, you know, he have to have things very clear. I cannot interact with non-Muslims, or I cannot interact with Muslims. Those Muslims are bad, maybe they're saying this about them, that this, so I'm not going to interact with them. Or those non-Muslims are talking about us in this way, so I cannot interact with them. A moderate child, a child who is not discouraged, who have a high self-esteem, will be able to interact with both. This could be another sign. One famous sign is that some of them like to find a generic nickname, you know. And we know Muhammad becomes Mo, and Alauddin becomes Al. And some people, we don't want even to mention the names. For example, they like to have the name of just a quality, the tall girl, the short boy. They don't even want to talk about the Muslim name. So these are some of the symptoms, the signs that we should be looking for to see if your child is really confused and his identity is not very clear to him, and the situation is really affecting him. The consequences of this problem, it could lead to lower self-esteem and lower grades in the school. And recently we have noticed this. So many mothers, so many parents, they come and ask us in the workshops about my child was really good. He was getting A's and B's, and now they are really behind. Their schoolwork is not, their marks are really down. Well, what could be the problem? And that is happening so often nowadays. Almost every weekend when we go for a workshop, almost 3, 4, 5 parents coming to us with the same problem, that they are getting lower grades now. They used to have higher grades. So, children respond to problems in one of two ways. Depends on how they are being dealt with at home. If the family environment The family atmosphere is a nice family atmosphere, is warm, cozy, supportive, encouraging, loving family atmosphere. Children, they compensate, as we said in the first lecture. They try to find a solution for the problem. If the family atmosphere is not encouraging, is not warm, family atmosphere is not loving and supporting, children respond in this way. They either isolate themselves from the surrounding or fully assimilate. As we said, they are drawn to fit in. So when they have a problem outside and there is no encouragement from home, they isolate themselves. And we see children who isolated themselves from their surrounding almost 1 year, they don't want to speak away from them in the class. Or fully assimilate, become a man. Whatever the group does, whether it is right or wrong, you repeat it. You want to fit in, you want to be part of the group. So that could be one of the consequences, either isolation or complete assimilation. Hopelessness and helplessness. No matter what I do, the teacher is going to give me a C or is going to give me an F. I know she doesn't like me. This is what's happening. I'm not going to work anymore. That's another very bad sign. And as a consequence to this, they tend to disown the responsibility, which is a very, very serious thing. I can't do anything about it. It is much easier to say, oh, they are all racist. It's much easier to hang my problem on that cliche that they are racist, and I don't have to do anything about it. So disowning the problem and choosing the easy way, become lazy and they don't want to do anything, and just say, oh, it is because this society is bad and those people are racist and they are targeting us. And follow this, that the victimization mentality become like the norm for our children, sometimes for us. And there is one thing that we have really to think about very deeply. Our behavior as parents, are we contributing to this victimization mentality of our children? Are we doing this? How are we reacting and responding to these kind of problems? Because as I mentioned, that children and minds register picture much more than words. And they see our reaction, we are their model, and they take after us. So it is very important to watch this victimization mentality. And there are so many of the children who are playing on this kind of tune. We are victims, we cannot do anything about it, we are, and we are living a fantasy that somewhere, someplace, there is this Muslim community that when we go, everything will be okay. And I wish I can live in such and such a place. And there is no such a place right now. If we want such a place, we have to create it. We have to create it. So this victimization mentality feeds into these symptoms and consequences, and in turn it feeds into victimization mentality. So it keeps feeding and growing in their mind. The more you feel you are a victim, the more you get these symptoms and consequences. And the more you have symptoms and consequences, the more you play the tune of the victim mentality. And this is very, very serious. So as parents, it is our duty to try to understand this problem and try to see what are the causes and what kind of solution can help our children. Let's see what are the causes of the problem. There are external causes and there are internal causes. Let's talk about the external causes first. The media coverage of everything is one very, very important element of the problem. The way the news is being said, the various sitcoms and talk shows, every now and then there is a movie that talks about Muslims as terrorists, as bad people, so anything covered in the media is feeding to this kind of problem. And if we leave our children to sit in front of the TV and watch the news without helping them, without filtering what they see, without talking about it, and they spend long time in front of the TV, they are being influenced by this kind of getting the information from the same source. And this is the way the image that their government and their media is saying about Muslims. And some projects, again, it feeds into this kind of problem. Some of those kids who work like in McDonald's or in Dunkin' Donuts or any of these chains, they are faced with so many racist comments from clients or either their co-workers. And this is one of the worst, by the way. I know so many young people who just go to work as part-time in some of these chains, and they tell me so many things about the racist comments that they receive from their co-workers and from the clients who come to this kind of store. So these are some of the sources of the problem, the cause of the problem from the external. But there is also, we as Muslim community, we are feeding into this. And there is also, we are part of the cause. So there are the internal causes of the problem. And the first of them is a parental attitude and understanding their behavior. How many times when you go to we see some of the brothers who really are, mashallah, very committed Muslims, and they go to the mosque for every salah, but they are going to the supermarket, they don't want even to look at the cashier when she is, and they are frowning their face when she is, they don't want even to say thank you to her or to talk with her. And this is not going to help your child. If he's standing, it's not going to help your child that he has to interact with others. He has to say thank you. There's nothing wrong with talking a little bit with the cashier or with anybody that you are dealing with in the store, so they know that you are a normal human being. They are not, but we are feeding this image to them. We're standing there frowning. I made it a point, my wife made it a point, whenever there is a non-Muslim around us, that we interact with them and we talk about things in a very light way, light-hearted kind of way. We talk about things in common, the weather, for example. The flight is delayed, we talk about the delay of the flight. And as soon as you start interacting with them, people, they deal with you as a normal human being. You remove a little bit of this image that they have and their mind is being shaped on the media. I tell you one story. When we first came not first, we have been living in Canada since 1973. And we went for an international assignment. It was Bell Canada International for 4 years in the Middle East and Brazil. And so came back in 1988 to Canada. We have been looking for a house. We have 4 children, so we're looking for a big house so we can house our 4 children. Everyone would have a room. And we were looking for a house in an area close to the mosque, very close to the mosque. This area had only small bungalows, and some of them were teared off, and they built bigger houses there. So our neighbor next to us, he seen this house being built and this big, and he was waiting to see who was coming to live in this house. And when we arrived, my wife and my older 2 daughters, they were having a hijab. My beard was much longer than this. I was just coming back from Saudi Arabia, so it's normal to leave it, I didn't trim it, And he is an older fellow, he was a farmer, and that was his retirement house, and he was sitting in the porch in front of the house, just watching who was coming to live in this big house. And he's telling me a year after, his name is John, he's telling me, as soon as I saw you guys, your wife and your kids, and you, I said, what a disaster. What happened to you, John? This is not your day, John. And the guy was really scared. Who is going to live next to me? And I said, so what do you think now? That was a year after we lived in that house. What do you think now, John? I said, Muhammad, the best neighbors I ever had in my life. I said, you know why did you feel that very scared, John? He said, now I know. Those damn media, they are not giving us that information. You Muslims are good people. And he started the one to think, anytime a bad article comes in the Citizen, which is a magazine, is a main newspaper in Ottawa, where we live, anytime a bad article comes about Muslims, I just refer to him, John, there is a bad article about us. I'm going to send to the editor. You damn people are lying. And send like this. So you see, when you interact, when these, you know you at a human level, at a personal level, you make a big difference. The Prophet ﷺ, you know, he found a lady carrying a heavy load, and he told her, let me help you with your load. Where are you going? And he carried the load for her. And he walked with her till she reached her house. So the old lady was very appreciative, and she told him, well, listen, you did a favor to me, and I have to do a favor to you. You have been very nice to me, I have to be nice to you. And this favor of mine to you is in form of advice. Listen, there is a guy called Muhammad. He's telling people such and such. Never believe in him. So he told her, I am this guy. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. If we just start representing Islam, lots of our problems would be. That's what our early Muslims did. Those who went to Southeast Asia, what did they do? They just lived Islam. They were a good model of Islam, and the non-Muslims there, they accepted Islam because of this. Now Indonesia and Malaysia, they are all Muslims. Why? Because of our early Muslim ancestors that they lived Islam, they represented Islam. So our behavior as parents sometimes, it is feeding into this mentality of victimization for our children. When they see us, we don't want to talk to them, we don't want to interact with them. Those are kuffar, those are bad people, those are... This is not the right attitude. Every human being is a potential Muslim, inshallah, if we present Islam properly to him. So it's very, very important that we acknowledge that we could be part of the problem. Community gathering and activities and response to events, sometimes it is feeding into this victim mentality. Sometimes you go and visit, few families are visiting together, and all what they talk about, how bad we are being targeted, how bad we are being, others are looking at us as racist, they talk about us as terrorists, and sometimes even when we respond to things, we respond in the wrong way because we don't have the training. We have been living in cocoons for so long, and now we are still learning how to interact with the outside society. So some of our activities, some of our gathering feed into this. Being very lazy, and it's much easier to say, oh, we are targeted, we are the reason, rather than take ownership of the problem and try to find solutions and work hard to do it, because it's not an easy thing. You need to change your attitude. Lack of knowledge, again, Islamic knowledge in how to interact with non-Muslims and how to, and what it means. Somebody could take it to wala and bara, and what really means wala and bara, rather than the way it's being exercised by some people, and knowledge about the socio-political environment we are living in. The system here and how to change it, and it's been for years and decades being controlled by certain interest groups, and if we really want to have a say there, we have to unite there in the loop of the decision-making process. We have to do things to change. So our lack of knowledge in this area also is feeding to this victimization mentality, and is feeding to our children feeling low and feeling that we have a problem. These are some suggested solutions. I didn't have time to custom animate them, so they will appear at once because I was doing this. Anyway, parenting based on knowledge. Parenting based on knowledge. We should never just react haphazardly to the action of our children or their behavior. We should parent them based on knowing what Islamic parenting is, and we talked about some of these principles in the previous lecture. Modeling appropriate behavior with non-Muslims and Muslims. Okay? Modeling appropriate behavior with non-Muslims as well as Muslims. I guess I gave an example and we talked about this also. Affording appropriate opportunities for our children to interact with non-Muslims and Muslims. Some brothers and sisters, they are really isolating their kids and they are not giving them any chance to interact with non-Muslims. There's nothing wrong with interacting with non-Muslims. And we should make sure that we provide our children with these opportunities, whether they are young, by playing in the park with other non-Muslims, under our supervision, in the schools, being part of certain clubs, or certain extracurricular activities, and how to interact with non-Muslims. We ourselves volunteering in the school system to help in certain areas. This will give a chance to our children. So these are some of the things that our children could be encouraged to volunteer and participate in some of these mainstream activity. And I was really surprised. We have in Canada what we call Terry Fox March. Do you know Terry Fox? Anybody knows Terry Fox? Raise your hand. Yeah. This brother came from Canada, looks like. Well, this is a typical American mentality. Don't know anything about Canada. That's okay. I'm not offended. We are. Terry Fox is the most famous Canadian, sort of. This is a fellow who had cancer in his leg, and his leg was amputated, and he walked, or he embarked in walking from BC to Halifax, across Canada, to raise fund for cancer research. And he died in between, he couldn't complete. So every year, at the same time, when he died, I think sometime in September, lots of organizations, as well as almost in every town and every city, they have this Terry Fox March, where they raise fund for cancer, which is a very noble cause. By any stretch of imagination, it is a noble cause. It is Islamic cause. And I was surprised that one sister giving one halaqah to some sisters, and one of these sisters who participated in this walk, and she told them, "This is haram. You cannot walk with the kuffar. You cannot do this." What kind of nonsense is this? We have to encourage our children and give them the opportunity to participate in any good. Anything good that's done in the mainstream, we can be part of it. So others would see us as, citizens of this country. It is our country. Our children were born here. That's their country. Maybe some of us who came from different parts of the world, maybe we don't really think it is our country, but our children, that's their country. That's their land. And the Prophet ﷺ did not condemn that one would love the land of his birth. And he said when he was driven away from Mecca, "Wallahi innaka la ahabbu ardillahi ilayya, walawla anna qawmaka akhrajuni ma kharajtu." You are the most beloved land to me, and it's only because your people drove me away. Otherwise, I would have stayed. So there's nothing wrong with our children feeling attached to their homeland. That's where they're born. As long as you are not losing their identity, as long as you are building this Islamic identity in them. So there are so many activities that you could be part of. Research walks, hostels, human societies, Red Cross, libraries. I don't know how your libraries here in the States and Canada, the libraries depend on lots of volunteer, and your child can go and volunteer and help the library and so on. Discussing the issue from an Islamic point of view, as well as socio-political, telling them what's happening, acknowledging our children's frustration and fears. They are going through a difficult time. There is no doubt that it is a difficult time. And we have to acknowledge this. When the Prophet is going for Hijrah, and he asked Ali ibn Abi Talib to sleep in his bed, he acknowledged the fear in the heart of Ali ibn Abi Talib. In the words he said to him, he said, you will be safe. You will come out of this safe. He acknowledged that he has some fear of staying in his bed. That disbelievers may attack him. He told them, you will come out of this safe. You will sleep in my bed, you will come out of this safe. So we have to acknowledge the fear and the frustration of our children, and then guide them, comfort them, and try to help them. Some other stuff that would help them. Provide your children with the right perspective on life in general, and try to instill important Islamic concepts. Life is a test. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. 8 minutes. So our children have to understand this. There are very important Islamic concepts that we neglect to instill in the hearts and minds of our children. And we have a complete chapter in the book Muslim Teens about important Islamic concepts and how they can help your children. If we instill these concepts in our children, inshallah, is going to help them see life as in the proper perspective. Building your children's skill set. When Umar ibn Khattab رضي عنه told us, علموا أولادكم السباحة والرماية وركوب الخيل. Teach your children swimming, shooting, horseback riding. These were the survival skills for that environment. It is an indication that we have to teach our children any survival skills they need in the environment they live in. To be organized, to plan, to be resourceful, to manage their time, to be assertive. These are all qualities and all skills that we want our children to be good at. It's not enough just they leave their homework till just one night before the due date, and then they rush want to do it and they come up with very, very bad marks. That's not good. So we really have to help them in acquiring these kind of skills. Owning the responsibility and holding your children accountable. We know Quran tells us كل نفس بما كسبت رهينة, and our behavior should teach this to our children. Should give them the right message that there are consequences for their actions. They'll be held accountable for what they do. Universalizing, which means that don't think that Muslims are more comfortable in other places. You think that committed Muslims are being dealt with fairly in other parts of the world. There is no happy land for Muslims. القابض على الجمر والقابض على دينه كالقابض على الجمر. One who wants to really stick with his deen is like one who's holding a piece of fire in his hand. So try to get this fantasy out of the mind of your children that there are other places where, as a committed Muslim, you live comfortably and you are not going to face any problem. Life is a test. يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه. It is a struggle. So this has to get in your mind. And remind them with other ethnicities, the Japanese, Italians, he faced things like this before. And it is the fashion now is to be against Muslims. This is the fashion nowadays. So it's okay. Fads do change, and inshallah Rabbil Alameen, if we deal with it properly, inshallah, then we'll be able to help them to, inshallah. Limiting TV exposure, particularly those who have dishes coming from different parts of the world, and all the time the kids are sitting there, kids sitting there, seeing shooting, and this happened to our brothers in Iraq, this happened to our brothers and sisters in Palestine, this happened. As parents, we have to filter the amount of information. Yes, they know that there are problems, these things are happening there, but better to utilize their time and find solutions for this problem. Make them part of the rally that goes against these kind of things. Make them write like a letter to the editor, but don't let them sit in front of the computer. Encouraging critical thinking is another very important element, and there are ways from your child from very young age that you can help your child to encourage critical thinking. Having fun time with your children, rest and recreation. Don't make things always tough. Don't push them all the time. Make things that just duties all the time. النفس تمل. The Prophet ﷺ, he told حضل ساعة وساعة, take some rest and then do your duty. Provide them some recreation activities. Some factors that would support this: being an approachable parent is very, very important. So if child will talk to you about anything that goes in his or her mind, and to be an approachable parent, you have to observe this good family atmosphere. You have to observe this nice principles and techniques that the Prophet ﷺ told us about. Being positive and welcoming and supportive, and make sure that your home environment is good. So who is responsible for the home environment? As you said, his mom and dad together, they are responsible for the home environment. So again, if you have an environment like this is not going to help your child. But alhamdulillah, if you have and also if you have anger like this all the time, it's not going to help, solving the problem for your child. We want a good home environment to help our children. Something like this. Courtesy, exchanging gifts, celebrating good occasions, so on and so forth. Do not allow the victimization mentality. If your child come and say, the teacher is racist and starting me is doing this, doing that, discuss him logical and objective and say, no, well, let me see how is your homework. Maybe you are the one who didn't do the right homework. And try always to get him out of this victimization mentality. Patience and hard work for parents, all these things will need lots of work from parents and lots of patience. Community programs and activities is going to help contain those young men, like sports activity, like open houses, like so many activities we can do for our children to be part of. And inshallah, I understand, and we're in Houston yesterday, we had scouts activity for the young ones, and we had youth groups, and I know here that Mass has also youth groups, and so these are all things that will help them, inshallah, get this thing out of their mind. Among the community programs that we should do in every community, like teacher sensitivity training about Islam and Muslims, we should have school volunteers from the community members to help. We should have media watch and letter writing groups. We should have interfaith participation. We should have open houses so others would come and know about us more and more rather than isolating ourselves. And I think the Freedom Foundation here, mashallah, is doing a wonderful job in terms of and use the good results. Success feeds success, breeds success. So like the situation of Brother Abu Ali, and what Mass Freedom Foundation did. Use this opportunity and talk to your children about it, that things could improve, but we really have to be part, we have to be active. We cannot just sit and adopt this victimization mentality and want things to improve. Human rights advocacy groups and so on. Support your national Islamic organizations, particularly like Mass, when they do this kind of activity to help them be strong enough and help our children to be part of the mainstream activities. So to conclude, inshallah, I didn't want to write any conclusion because it was said that the conclusion is for those who were asleep during the session, so they didn't know what was said. But mashallah, I've been very wonderful audience. You have been paying very good attention to what's going on. But this is just summary of few points that parents understanding the important factors that will help them to be closer to their children, will successfully help their children through this ordeal. Proper community activities such as outreach programs and open houses. It will provide, inshallah, much needed support mechanism for our children. Get engaged and intelligently integrate not fully assimilate, intelligently integrate. الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بس الحكمة ضالة المؤمن أنه وجدها فهو حق به. So intelligently integrate with the mainstream activities, observe your duties towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and intensify your dua, and never forget the dua. The dua is a very, very strong and important tool for all of us, and sometimes we really ignore it. So fulfill your duties towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be close to Him, and intensify your dua. Inshallah, He's going to help you tremendously and help our children to do this, inshallah. And if we do this again, we'll reach the finish line as winners, inshallah, رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. I thought this was the first session, so I wrote here, see you all next session. I'm not going to see you all in the next session, inshallah. I'll look at 5 minutes, inshallah. تفضل يا
السيشن الاول اسلوب الذكاء
How do we, sometimes I feel like I'm mystic for children.
Well, one of the things where there's always
visits to home country in the summer is good thing to help your children live in a place where Muslims are majority and they are not all the time being targeted. There's no doubt it helps a little bit in boosting their self-esteem, but it is not the permanent solution for them. So once in a while take them for a visit, but what you want to do, you want to make sure that there are enough activities for them here that make them feel that they belong and they are Muslims. And I think that there are lots of alhamdulillah activities that's going on now for youth that's done by NAS as well as maybe other organizations. And it is your duty to make sure that they are part of this. And if this activity is not there, nothing stronger than a mom who wants to help her kid. Nothing stronger than a parent who wants to help his kid. Get together and start these activities. If you feel that you lack the ability to handle them, and you know that there is a brother or a sister in the community who can do this, approach them, but please be very careful that when you approach them, you don't overload them and overburden them. Give them that specific task in handling how to deal with the children. But you and the rest of the parents should do the legwork so you can make this activity a success. Because most of the time, oh yeah, mashallah, Brother Muhammad is very good with children. Okay, Brother Muhammad take care of the children. Brother Muhammad, mashallah, he is the one who can organize it, a good camp. Brother Muhammad do the camp. No, you work as a team. Let Brother Muhammad handle the situation in terms of interaction and finding programs, answering the question to the children, but you do the legwork for him. Otherwise he's going to be burned out and you are not going to benefit. So make sure that they are living as Muslims here. And one thing that helped tremendously is youth camps. Youth camps is a very, very important activity where kids live Islam for few days, and if you do it properly, if you have a good trained counselor, if you work the program properly where you do not emphasize lecturing but you emphasize activities and debates and dialogues, we have been witnessing so many wonderful things because of these youth camps. Wallahi, the kids will be coming at the beginning of the camp and their parents will be pulling them, dragging them to get to the camp. This mentality. And when the parents, after a week or 10 days, they come to take them back, they are crying, they don't want to leave the camp. Why? Because they really enjoyed themselves, they lived as Muslims, they taught them something about nature, about how to interact with each other, about so many good things. So camps are very, very good tools. And we have in the book Muslim Teens, we have a detailed guidelines about how to train counselors, what kind of program you should have, what kind of age groups, how to divide them. All these things are detailed in that book. Yes, sister. Wa alaikum assalam.
Actually, I have to pick from where she started. What worries me is not that they go back home. I mean, our original country, the Muslim people, they are the ones who are more than even the Muslims are human beings. So I face another problem, which is, well, see, real Muslims, they are actually picking on my children, for example. They are picking on my children that they can't believe you are coming from the States. Don't believe that. Where have you been?
So tell them we have been living with the Muslim community in the States. Yeah, I can see what you are saying exactly, because that what used to happen to us when we take our children for a visit, their cousins and the friends of their cousins there, oh, what's going on, you know? And you say, are those Muslims? Why she's not putting a hijab? Why they are doing this? Why they are doing that? So you have every area has its own challenges. Yes, when you go to visit Egypt or Saudi Arabia or Pakistan, you listen to the adhan 5 times a day, but you have this as the other side of the coin, and you have this. It confuses the children also. So we try to get the best out of every place, you know, and inshallah Rabbil Alameen, concentrate more in working hard to make their life a Muslim reality here. We want to help them to have to live as Muslims right here. Yes, sister. Good, alhamdulillah. Did you invest in stage 1, alhamdulillah, instilling some good qualities and some good Islamic concepts? So at this age, preteens and teens, they learn more as groups when we are put in groups. They learn more through camps and things like that. So do not pressure them by, say, lots of memorization or lots of sit and lecturing. Try always to have activities, say, where they can play some sports in the break when the salah comes, and after the salah, 2-3 minutes of quick khatira, hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, or an incident that the Prophet did with the children, for example. Let them as a group to come up with a project, to do something. Say, for example, take the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, حفت الجنة بالمكاره وحفت النار بالشهوات. Okay? The paradise is surrounded with things that we do not like. To get to it, we have to do things that may be different. And hellfire is surrounded with all kinds of temptation and things that people like. And divide them into 2 groups. And one group. Can you draw a road to paradise and put the things that surround you with? And can you draw a road to let them come up with the things themselves and discuss and talk? This way, the meanings and the understanding of Islam settles in their heart. It's not like when you just... So that in this age group, try to understand a little bit about the psychology of the age group, preteens and teens, like we see the scale of stage 1, stage 2, and what this will help you tremendously in knowing how. Also in the Muslim teens books, and it's available in Arabic also, Nash al-Muslim dan Makhatar, in chapter 2, there is details about the various developmental stage of the preteens and teens group. So when you understand it, it helps you tremendously in finding out what kind of activity gets them engaged in.
Again, we apologize for the short time. Every one of those lectures needs a full day of workshop, and that's what we usually do in this lecture. So what do we take? this time. I took one message which is take our youth to the camp, mass camps. I said, look for mass camps, inshallah, during this summer. And it's really enjoyable. And the kids really don't want to come back. So please look for it. We announced for it on the website. Look for it. Choose the one which is near to you and take your teenagers and your kids to this camp, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.